justice will be done. And this was such another such just beautiful, beautiful image that was created, where we have our beloved Charlie there, holding her. Because mothers will understand this. Certainly mothers will understand this, but all men, and particularly all fathers, if you're a man or if you are a father specifically, when you see Iryna Zorutska there, alone and afraid and crying, there is this deep, this innate, right to the bones, right to the innermost depths of the soul need for a man, not a monster like DeCarlos Brown Jr. He's not a man. That is a monster. That is a demon. We're talking about men here. We're talking about husbands here. We're talking about fathers. There is this deep soul need to reach out and comfort and to protect. When these demons take away, a man wants to reach out to save, to provide, and to protect. And so, such an incredible, beautiful image there of our beloved Charlie protecting, comforting, as these two were taken from us. And I tell you, September 2025 changed everything. It truly is our turning point. And obviously, we will never forget Charlie, but we will never forget Iryna. And more than that, we will never forget all of those loved ones that we know by name and we know by face, but all of those who are the faithful and the honorable and the innocent and the pure that are taken from us, whether we know them personally or not, whether we know their name or not, whether we know their face or not. Because the reality is, in this fallen and wicked world where Satan is the god of this world, there are many thousands, there are hundreds of thousands every year all over the world that are among the faithful that are taken from us. And they're taken from us by the murderers, by the psychopaths, by the Islamists, a tremendous number by the Islamists, by the communists, by all of these in the world that are evil. And we just remember the words of God from the Psalm that He is the avenger of blood. He remembers. He remembers. He sees to it that justice is done. Even if it doesn't happen in this life, it will happen. All of these murderers will meet their eternal end in that lake of fire burning with brimstone. Whereas the faithful and the honorable, they will have their reward. And God will wipe every tear from their eyes. And so we remember Iryna, that we never forget. We remember her. And it's like, it's impossible. It's impossible for me to forget her. Because that image, that single image of her with that the hand trembling to her mouth as this demon stands over her and just having stabbed her 3 times, where? To the neck. And that's what's so powerful about in this last week. Now, it's true, when it comes to Iryna, she was murdered on August 22nd, so that was last month. But she was one of these unknown, unnamed victims out there that we had no clue about, because it's intentionally hidden by these evil people. They try to keep this stuff suppressed. They don't want this stuff coming out because it goes against their narrative. It goes against everything that they are promoting, all of the evil that they promote. But when the truth does eventually come out, which it did with Iryna approximately a week ago, just over that, and we see this, and we see her looking up with that hand trembling to her mouth, having been just stabbed to the neck. The exact place where just a few days later we had Charlie Kirk murdered. Right there at Utah Valley University last Wednesday, September 10th. We do not forget, but we remember. And we need to fight every day to honor their memories. And more than that, to see to it that justice is done. That when it comes to such monsters like DeCarlos Brown Jr. and such monsters like Tyler Robinson, no. None of this life in prison stuff. That with a possibility of parole, because a lot of these people on the left, that's what they do. They show empathy for the criminals and the murderers and the scum, these vile demons, but they show no empathy whatsoever for the victims. If you have true empathy, you feel it for the victim and not for the victimizer. You feel it for the fallen and not for the criminal and the murderer that took these people from us. And so, no, examples have to be made, and DeCarlos Brown Jr. needs to meet his end with execution. It needs to be the death penalty. Tyler Robinson, the exact same thing. He needs to meet his end with the death penalty. You want justice done? That's justice. You send them off into the hand of God Almighty, and that's justice. That's how it's done. Because God is the one who is the avenger of blood, and he will see to it that eternal justice is done. But he's given us the authority, right from Genesis chapter 9, to send such people off through execution into the hands of God. And that's exactly what we will do. Here's this other painting that I came across a few days ago. And it's just so stunning. So accurate to what happened that day. The innocent and the pure being taken by the vile and the demonic and the diabolical. And it still just absolutely crushes me. It breaks my heart that this innocent girl, if someone there had helped her, if somebody there had protected her, if somebody there had defended her, and not waited for a full 2 minutes for her to be bleeding out entirely before somebody goes, oh, maybe we should help this person who, blood is now all over the entire train. If somebody had actually been a man and had helped this girl, she would still be alive. There's no reason that she had to die that day. Obviously, no reason for this monster to be on the streets. No good reason. Cashless bail. Let's just let him out again. Oh, have him sign a little paper that he promises he'll appear in court. This absolute demon. Ugh. Every single one of these people. Just every one of them. There's a test that I've done this for years, and this is the way that I think about it. And I think about it this way. When it comes to somebody's death, whether that be a murder or whether that be an execution or war, like what's happening with Israel, destroying Hamas there in Gaza, I always am brought to ask the exact same question. This individual who dies by whatever means, however it happens, I ask the question, is the world a better place now that they're gone, or is it a worse place now that they're gone? And that is a very, very important question to ask. And you think of such individuals like Charlie Kirk. Is the world a better place now that Charlie is gone, or is the world a worse place now that Charlie is gone? And the answer is obvious. It's a much worse place now that such light has been stolen from us. He who was the most prominent, most profound voice of the conservative movement and most effective at reaching the youth. Most effective at reaching the youth. The world is not better with him gone. But you ask the question, okay, what about, say, Tyler Robinson? What about DeCarlos Brown Jr.? What about Hamas? What about all of these other people? When they're gone, when they're put away, when they're executed, when they're destroyed, is the world a worse place or is it a better place? It's obviously a better place. When you get rid of the murderers, when you get rid of the rapists, when you get rid of the serial killers, when you get rid of the genocidal mass murdering maniacs and death cult Islamists, the world is better. It's not worse. That's the ultimate question. It's the ultimate test. You ask that question, okay, this person, now that they're gone, is the world worse or is it better? And if the answer is that the world is better now that they're gone, well, then get rid of them. Don't hang on to them. We hang on to these murderers and serial killers and rapists in our insane asylums or, our prison systems. And then, they sit in prison and we spend millions and millions of dollars of our money to keep them alive, to keep a roof over their head, keep them fed 3 times a day, totally take care of them so they have access to a gym, they have access to libraries and the internet and all of this stuff. And it's like, why? Why do we do this? It's insanity. You don't hang on to these people. What the Bible talks about, multiple times, in fact, in the Torah, in the law, is that you purge the evil from among you. You purge it. You get rid of it. And you get rid of it by execution. The authority that God gave to mankind, those that have the authority from God to enforce the law, the hierarchy of authority of government, and those that have that authority to enforce the law, you execute these people. And the world is better as a result. Not just the fact that these murderers are gone and these rapists are gone, but also if they knew, if the people of this world knew that pursuing that path that leads to rape, that leads to violence, that leads to murder, if the result of pursuing that path was your own death, your own execution, and not just being put up in prison if you get caught, then you would see homicide rates plummet. You would see rape rates plummet. You would see these barbaric acts of terror and murder and bloodshed plummet. They would all but come to an end when you inject a good, healthy dose of fear of God and fear of consequence into society. But this is who we are. We've gotten rid of fear of God. We've promoted secularism and atheism. So now you have all of these demonic people that have no fear of consequence because they know that the justice system is soft on crime. But no, you got to be vicious with these people. You cannot be kind to these people. You have to actually make examples of them. This is the war that we are fighting. What I posted is, Democrat lies took Iryna from us. Democrat lies took Charlie from us. Their lies, their evil, their ideology, their way of thinking, their behaviors, their perversions. They took this light from us, from the world. We are engaged in the greatest spiritual struggle of our time, the war of truth versus lies, right versus wrong, good versus evil. No matter how dark, now this is the hope, no matter how dark it may become, the promises of the Almighty are an anchor to the soul. The truth, the right, and the good will prevail forever. Amen. And the lies and the wrong and the evil will be destroyed forever. And so, sweet Iryna, we remember you, and the demon who took you from us will be destroyed. In the here and now, he'll face justice, but in the eternities, he'll face eternal justice at the hands of God. This was just a beautiful painting that was done of Iryna that is now being used for these murals. There's this whole campaign of having murals, and it's not just going to be of Iryna, but there's also a huge campaign to do the same thing for Charlie. We've seen that the first mural ever done, as far as we are aware, for Charlie Kirk was done by an artist in Israel, showing just how much that the Jews and Israel loved and honored and valued Charlie. We'll be talking about that in this live stream, how this hatred from the woke right primarily, in spewing all of this BS and these conspiracy theories about how Israel and the Jews are the ones who killed Charlie. It is beyond infuriating. It is so diabolical, so sick, and so perverse. But you have this beautiful painting here of Iryna with the wings, and now this, along with several others, are being promoted to ultimately be made as murals on buildings and bridges and everywhere that we can put them, that the truth needs to be spread. That you are not forgotten, Iryna. We're fighting to ensure that justice is done and the poisonous Democrat ideologies that led to your murder are obliterated from our society. And it's so tragic that she was taken by such an animal, such a demon. That Iryna Zarutska didn't have a driver's license and depended on public transportation to get to and from work. According to the family's lawyer, she had been preparing to earn her license and was scheduled to take the driving test in October. She was proud of that, he said. She had just bought a car. And on the day of the incident, she was only 10 minutes away from Station 36, where she was supposed to get off. She had been texting her boyfriend, telling him she would be home soon, but she never arrived. Nick Sorter posted this right in Prague. Prague in Czech Republic. A memorial has been set up in Prague, Czech Republic, for both Charlie Kirk and Iryna Zarutska. Neither of them will ever be forgotten. And it seems like in these last several days, and rightly so, that we honor our beloved Charlie with his passing. And this coming Sunday in Glendale, Arizona, is going to be this memorial celebrating the life of Charlie Kirk. And I am going to do everything in my power to actually be there. I want to be there for that. And so, of course, we honor our brother Charlie. But I do find that this memorial is so incredibly beautiful because we don't forget her. We remember both, because this last week in September of 2025, it had better be our turning point. It had better be our turning point, where we begin with the power and authority and grace of God Almighty and the iron will, sheer determinism to make certain that justice is done and that these evil ideologies that led to the murder of both is ended, is totally put away from us, because that is what killed both of these people. Evil leftist ideologies. And I found that this was incredibly beautiful. This is Fox News that reported on this, that LSU University, they honored Charlie Kirk and Iryna Zarutska and the victims of the Colorado school shooting ahead of the game against the Florida Gators on Saturday. So this was a moment of reflection.
You join us in a moment of reflection following the murders of Charlie Kirk in Orem, Utah, Iryna Zarutska in Charlotte, North Carolina, and LSU condemns all violence in our community. You join us in a moment of reflection following the murders of Charlie Kirk in Orem, Utah, Iryna Zarutska in Charlotte, North Carolina,
and these school shootings as well. And we remember the two Catholic children, ages 7 and 10, that were murdered in Minneapolis, Minnesota by this trans lunatic, Robert Westman. And what do we find when it comes to Tyler Robinson? That He's in the same group. That he's living with this trans piece of filth. It's all about it's the LGBT evils. It's the perversions of the left. Every single time. You know, it was 10 years ago, June of 2015, that we have the Supreme Court making that disgusting, diabolical decision to redefine marriage and to legalize homosexual marriage, and that has led to this explosion of evil and perversions throughout the United States. And I made the statement all the way back then, 10 years ago, that decision from the United States Supreme Court was the death sentence of America. That was the death sentence of America. To promote this evil and not put it away from us is the death of us all, because it brings the curses of God Almighty upon us all, and if we continue on that path, we will be destroyed. Just as Sodom and Gomorrah were destroyed. Exact same thing will happen to us. We will be brought to our destruction. But I am comforted that there's a tremendous movement. There is a movement right now to remember and to honor the faithful. And of course, we see the difference. We see the extreme difference between those that are honoring Charlie and honoring Iryna, and those that did all of the evil with George Floyd. Yeah, the George Floyd riots versus Charlie Kirk vigils. We are not the same. This is a war not between left and right. It's between evil and good. You notice a difference there? This is them, and this is us. This is hell, and this is heaven. This is lake of fire burning with brimstone. This is new heaven and new earth. There's a difference. We are not the same. Not the same whatsoever. These are the evil. These are the good. These are the perverse. These are the faithful. I mean, the difference is absolutely night and day. And it's so beautiful to see that all over the world, there are those that are honoring, in this case, this is Charlie Kirk.
Herzes für Charlie Kirk, für deinen Widerstand und dein Einspruch.
Absolutely beautiful. This is a new beginning. This is our turning point. It has to be. It absolutely has to be. We need these two acts. There's the Charlie Kirk Act and then the Iryna Zarutska Act. The Charlie Kirk Act is to end the government's use of the media to spread propaganda. And then the Iryna Zarutska Act to hold judges accountable for releasing criminals that end up terrorizing society. Yes. This is how it's certainly one of the many ways that we honor the memories of these two beautiful people. That we see to it that justice is done, and we pass law to ensure that the evils that led to their murders are put away from our societies. And getting to, now this is also being done for Charlie. This is absolutely being done for Charlie, but this is specifically for Iryna Zarutska, that we have this individual, Egon McCabe, who is offering $500,000 and $10,000 grants to paint murals of the face of Iryna Zarutska in prominent U.S. city locations. Please contact Katie at eohan.com for more details. Please also share this message. If you'd like to contribute to this fund, please contact Katie also. And, of course, we had Elon Musk, who says, I will contribute $1 million. And there were other individuals, other celebrity figures that have been, I will contribute a million. I'll contribute 500,000. I'll contribute 100,000. Because I want to see Charlie's face, and I want to see Iryna Zarutska's face all over the United States of America. I want to see it in all of these cities, towns, sides of buildings, bridges. I want to see it everywhere. That when it comes to remembering her, it's as Steven Crowder put it, and he did put it accurately, that the right has found our George Floyd. But of course, you see the difference, that when it comes to the political right in general, we honor the faithful and the virtuous. And so when it comes to our George Floyd, it's Iryna and it's Charlie. These two people, a woman and a man, that we remember. And we act by passing good law to ensure that what took them from us will not be permitted ever again. And of course, it's impossible for me to, cover this subject without mentioning the reality that when it comes to Iryna, she is, of course, from Ukraine. She's from Ukraine. She is a Ukrainian refugee seeking sanctuary from war in the, quote, safety of the United States of America. But she'd never met an American black man before. No. 6% of the population of the United States of America, and yet responsible for over 50% of all of the murders, the arson, the violent crime, the rape, looting and rioting. It's not racist to point that out. It's a fact. It's a statistical fact that when it comes to the black community, they're genuinely messed up. Why? Is it because of their skin? No, has nothing to do with that. It has everything to do with how the Democrats for decades have been indoctrinating the black community, and the black community has swallowed all of that indoctrination to play the victim, which ultimately, after generations of time, the black community goes from being a generally very moral people. You look at the black community in the, say, first half of the 20th century, very moral people, Christian, God-fearing, God-loving, fathers and mothers staying together, raising children, the fathers there to provide and protect their families, hardworking, generally moral people. But this is the warning that any group of any people, you allow yourself to go that route of the lies, to embrace the lies in this world that are being promoted by the devil and by all those that serve the devil, the exact same thing is going to happen to you, whether you're black or white or yellow or pink or any other shade. It doesn't matter what color of skin you have. What matters is, what do you believe? What do you do? And the black community, generally, the vast majority of them, believe in evil. They believe in sick, disgusting things. Absolutely vile. And Iryna, when it comes to her, she's a Ukrainian refugee. And what have we been seeing from the left ever since February of 2022, when Vladimir Putin of Russia invades Ukraine to stop NATO, to halt the progress of NATO ever pushing eastward? What do we see from the left? Everything is Ukraine. We love Ukraine. Ukraine's great. We're stand with Ukraine. We're all about Ukraine. Everything in their bios, and we've had nothing but Ukraine for the past 3.5 years from the left. And yet when it comes to her, when it comes to Iryna, they are either entirely silent or they hate her. They hate her. Quick example of that. We did have certainly not a professional mural that was done by, a really solid professional artist, but, it's still nevertheless, it's a mural. And it does honor her, and it's beautiful to see that. So Iryna Zarutska, Pensacola, Florida, mourns you. Beautiful. With, of course, the Ukrainian flag behind her, because that's where she's from. Now, you would think that when it comes to this woman, if there's anybody that's going to be honoring her, anybody that's going to be remembering her, anybody that's going to be promoting remembrance of her and then justice being done to see to it that DeCarlos Brown Jr. is put away. No. What do we see with this mural? Now keep in mind, this mural was only up for a few days, just a few days in Pensacola, Florida. And what happens? Oh, that is what happened. A few days. And these monsters come in, these same people who claim to be all about Ukraine. I mean, seriously, you literally have the Ukrainian flag as the backdrop, the background of this mural. That the same yellow and blue that have been on all of their social media pages, all of their profile images, for 3+ years, 3.5 years now. And as soon as we have a Ukrainian refugee here in the United States of America that meets her demise at the hands of this monstrous black man, where's all the love left? Where's all the compassion, leftists? Where's all the empathy, leftists? Where's the honoring of the Ukrainians? Oh, that's right. You're nothing but virtue signaling losers. Virtue signaling demonic people that are not good. There is no goodness in any of you. You are like your master, your father, the devil. You love to do the will of your father. That he is a murderer from the beginning because there is no truth in him. You're just liars as he is a liar. That's what you guys are. You're just total and complete hypocrites. Total hypocrites. That they either will do this to dishonor the memory of Iryna Zarutska, or they'll just totally remain absolutely silent about it. That the same people that have been crying out, Ukraine, 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 at the top of their lungs for the last 3+ years, are right now crickets. Nothing. Or this. I mean, I've said it before, I'll say it again, I'll say it a million more times. The enemies that we face is leftism and everything that is of the left. Everything that is of leftist ideology and perversions and Islam. Those are our enemies. That's it. And if you are one of these people that you think that it is beyond that, then you have been deceived. Certainly, if you're one of these idiots on the woke right that thinks it's the Jews, it's Israel. I mean, not only have you been deceived, but you guys are just as vile, just as detestable as the worst on the left. I mean, these people are just... Ugh. So, of course, the psycho leftists had to ruin the beautiful mural that somebody painted yesterday of Iryna Zarutska, Graffiti Bridge in Pensacola, Florida. So this was a mural done on September 12th. So it was painted on the 12th of September, and literally 1 day later. In 1 day, we go from this to this. And notice how, of course, these other murals aren't touched. You know? Whoever came by to do this didn't do it to anything else, only did it to this. Because these people are liars and hypocrites.